Since Disney took over Star Wars in 2012, they changed how the Sith get their red lightsabers. Disney states that in order for a Sith to prove they are truly going down the dark side and have fully transcended into the dark side, they must have enough hatred and anger to turn a Kyber crystal from its original color all the way to red. To get that crystal to turn red, the Sith user must pour all of their hatred and anger into the crystal. This is an extremely hard process, or at least it used to be, before the Acolyte was created. To show how hard of a process this used to be, I'm going to play a quick excerpt from a video I made a while ago covering Vader turning his crystal red in the comics. He examines the crystal closely. It starts to glow, then he is pushed back into a wall randomly with no control. Anakin is back. His eyes are blue once again, the crystal is unchanged. What happened? Vader then goes to Coruscant to see Sidious, who asks him if he was successful in his quest. "I was," says Vader, who ignites the lightsaber, challenging his master to a duel. But the blade is green. Vader says he has finally made his decision. As they fight, Vader's hatred comes out for his master. Sidious reminds him he is worthless with every strike. Vader strikes down his master, finally saying he agrees. He then leaves to find Obi-Wan and make amends with him. "Obi-Wan, please." Obi-Wan responds by saying, "Anakin, you were the chosen one." And then he's awakened. He doesn't allow this vision to overtake him. He's still in the cave. He grabs the crystal, saying he refuses, that this is all there is. He feels every decision he's made up to this point, the pain, the anger, the hatred. He then lets out a scream. Vader is actually on Coruscant this time. Sidious says, "My apprentice," to where Vader says, "My master," while igniting his finally red blade. He had completed the quest. This is such a great example of how much hatred you must really actually have to be able to turn a crystal red. It is not something just anybody can do, and it is a really painful and scary experience. We can see Vader having visions given to him from Palpatine in order to scare him and make him extremely hateful and really dive into that anger and hatred he's always had. Vader struggles through this process, ultimately turning the crystal red, giving into his full hatred, but it was a very tough and hard process. Now this brings us to the Acolyte season finale, where Osha seemingly turns Soul's blue Kyber crystal red. Osha does this extremely easy. She has no type of vision or anything while doing so. She also has essentially no struggle turning it red, aside from a few seconds where the blade turns back to blue and then half red and half blue. We can understand that in that moment she is mad at Soul for what he did, killing her mother, but he really did have a valid reason, what he was explaining to her, and she just straight up ignored. He was actually trying to save her. But the anger she had here, in my opinion, was still not enough to turn the crystal to straight red. As we saw in the Vader comic, how hard that process was for him. She just did not struggle at all. I think a better option for this scene specifically was for the crystal to turn orange, showing that she is, conflicted, but not all the way to the dark side. She just doesn't seem to struggle turning the crystal red like Vader did, and this makes me think that there is a continuity issue at Disney because they are the ones who introduced the bleeding of crystals and showed us in the past how hard it was to do it in the Vader comic. Now that seems like an easy process as long as you're angry for 5 minutes. Keep in mind that Osha has been on the light side her entire life up to this point. She did not like to go with May. She did not want to be with May. She wanted to go join the Jedi and be in the light side. There were not really any times that she was conflicted to go to the dark side up until this point. And I think that this is such a great example of where the writing just kind of falls flat for me and a lot of other people as well. I know not that many people are really liking the show so far. At this point, I really hope there's not even a season 2, just because the writing has been so lackluster. We really have to wait for Leslie Headland to do interviews to actually understand what she was going for in a lot of these scenes, and especially in this scene and many others, it just doesn't make sense. It completely falls flat. The bleeding of the crystal should be such a long process, a scary process, hate-driven, terrifying. It should be a terrifying process that really drives someone from sane to insane, and that's what happened with Vader and many of the other Sith that did do the bleeding process of their crystals. Now, if Disney wants to make this canon, that you have to bleed your crystal, they have to stay continuity-wise on the same page with the comics and the shows. I think bleeding the crystal was one really cool thing that Disney did add to Star Wars, and in the show, the Acolyte show, the season finale, it just completely fell flat for me. It was not very cool to me, and it just seemed like it was very easy to do for anybody. That's going to do it for this video though. Let me know what you all think down below. I don't understand personally how anyone can defend this show anymore and say that it's such a good Star Wars show, unless they deem the show to be non-canon content, which I know they will never do. I hope you all have a great day. May the Force be with you, and I have tons of Acolyte content coming out soon.